الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم يا منى قلوب المشتاقين ويا غاية آمال المحبين أسألك حبك وحب من يحبك وحب كل عمل يوصلني إلى قربك وأن تجعلك أحب إلي مما سواك. O furthest wish of the hearts of the yearners, O utmost limit of the hopes of the lovers, I ask from you, love for those who love you, love for every work which will join me to your nearness, and that you make yourself more beloved to me than anything other than you. Salawat ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. Assalamu alaikum, respected Shaykh, brothers and sisters. We welcome you to the 7th night of Muharram. I'd like to remind us all that the mother of Imam Hussein is also in our presence, so let's try and practice the etiquettes of a majlis and maintain the atmosphere of a majlis. With that, I'd like to ask all the brothers to move up a little. Please remember during the speech to minimize the conversations and the phone texting and playing games on your phone and crumbling papers. So inshallah, let's try our best to just maintain the majlis. Before we begin, I just want to remind you all of a few things. So in collaboration with Ashura Project, we have the shirts here. On the front it says "Do not despair," and on the back there's an ayah of the Holy Quran. It's $10 for youth size, $12 for an adult size, $20 for hoodies. Feel free to give the payment to myself or Sister Hani or Sister Nida on the sister side. We have both half sleeve and full sleeve, so you can grab whatever you'd like. We also have the Al-Qa'im contest for ages 8 to 14 to complete a little questionnaire and potentially win prizes of a total of $500. There's also the Poetry Slam, which this is probably the most important announcement I want to make. The Poetry Slam is on Wednesday, the night before Ashura. So all those who would like to participate and express your love for Imam Hussein through poetry, please approach myself or text Sister Aliza Jafri. Then, thank you, sir. Thank you. So inshallah, just let me know, and we'll get that done. And then, last thing, food drive boxes are also available, and that'll be in collaboration with Ashura Project as well. You can find the boxes, one box on the ladies' side in front of the kitchen, and one box downstairs near the Tabarruk area downstairs in the men's hall. As we commemorate the martyrdom of Imam Hussein alayhi salam, we're honored to have with us Sheikh Amin Arsani. So please welcome him with 3 loud salawat ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين والصلاة والسلام على سيدنا ونبينا أبي القاسم المصطفى محمد وعلى أهل بيته الطيبين الطاهرين صلى الله عليك يا أبا عبد الله. One of my favorite letters that Imam Hussein wrote is the letter, inshallah, that we're going to cover tonight. Because in it, he talks about certain things that usually are not spoken about, they're not looked at in this way. But it does highlight one of the things that was happening and was very bad in that time. And if Imam Hussein had not gotten in the way of it, God knows where it would have ended up. Yesterday I introduced us to this letter just about how the one who was carrying this letter to the people of Basra, to the nobles of Basra. Basra is an important city in Iraq till today. It's very important and significant. That's where the Battle of Jamal took place also in history. The city of Basra, the people of Basra, they get this letter from the messenger of Imam Hussein by the name of Sulaiman. Yesterday I explained how Ubaidullah bin Ziyad, who you can call him a servant of Shaitan, he made sure that the one who was carrying this letter was executed before he left Basra for Kufa. Yazid told Ubaidullah bin Ziyad, hey, stuff is going down in Kufa. I want you to go take care of business there. Muslim Aqil is gathering bay'ah. He's gathering supporters for Imam Hussein. And if you don't do something about it, we're in trouble. The guy that's governing Kufa right now, he's a loser. He can't take care of business. We need someone like you to go. So Ubaidullah goes, very quickly goes. And that itself is a story. Usually when we're telling the story of Muslim Aqil, we'll talk about Ubaidullah bin Ziyad and how he arrived in Kufa at nighttime, and how he secretly made his way to the palace and so on, and how it's so bad. I laugh, but it's so petty, so unfortunate how overnight, with the company of 7 or 8 people, Ubaidullah goes in the palace and takes over, and before you know it, Muslim Aqil, who had maybe thousands of people giving their allegiance to him, he's left with nobody. Like, things happen just like that. How scary is that, really? But anyway, that's another story. Ubaidullah bin Ziyad going to Kufa and taking power. This letter that was delivered to the people of Basra, that's what we want to cover tonight, though. And as I said, there's something in it that stands out, and that is what makes it one of my favorite letters. An important point. It goes like this. That Imam Hussein said, verily Allah chose Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa alihi salawat. From amongst his creation. He chose him from amongst his creation and honored him with prophethood. So it's an honor. It's a medal of honor. And selected him for his message. Then he took the prophet back to himself while he had fulfilled his duty and delivered the message he was sent with. Alright, so the prophet's job is done. The prophet did what he was supposed to do. Let's see if the people did what they were supposed to do after the Holy Prophet. Then he took the prophet back to himself while he had fulfilled his duty and delivered the message he was sent with. We, the Ahlul Bayt, are the most qualified regarding that message. This is super important. Because till here, everyone was telling us that Imam Hussein rose to overthrow Yazid, for example. Rose to not give bay'ah to Yazid. Rose because he told us, I want to do Amr bil Ma'ruf wa Nahi anil Munkar. I want reform to come about in my grandfather's nation. Here though, there's something new we're introduced to. And that is that he says, we the Ahlul Bayt are the most qualified regarding that message that the Prophet was sent with. What message was the Prophet was sent with? With Islam. The religion of Islam and the faith of Islam. He says, we're the most qualified when it comes to anything that has to do with the religion. So brothers and sisters, there's something going on here. There's something going on here. Sometimes you are a political leader of the people, the Muslims, and sometimes, even though you might not be the leader, but people will still come to you for Islam. These are two positions. Some people look at a leader and they'll say, okay, he's our leader when it comes to politics, when it comes to who's running the government, who's running the state. We're going to go after him. Why? Because he can secure our interests, our geopolitical interests, whatever. But when it comes to learning about the faith, I'm not going to go to him. I'm going to go to somebody else who's a qualified scholar, for example. Yeah? Back then, it wasn't like this. People would see these two positions, religious authority versus political leadership, they would see them always as one. That these two can be found in one individual. The Holy Prophet did it. The Holy Prophet was at the same time, he was a political leader, he was also a spiritual slash Islamic leader too, in the sense that people could go to him and ask about Islam. So it just makes sense. It just makes sense. This is how the people see it. And there's something interesting here happening too. I hope some of you can pick it up. It just makes sense that the person that is to succeed the Holy Prophet, who has and enjoys these two positions, it only makes sense that the one taking his place also enjoys both positions. The question here is, wasn't the Prophet infallible? Yes. So if someone's going to take his place, shouldn't they be maybe infallible too? Especially if they're going to also be seen as the Islamic reference, the one to go to for Islam. Brothers and sisters, this is something that some ulama have pointed out, that one of the other achievements Imam Hussein was after, and I think this letter really is supporting this idea. One of the things he was after was to at least separate religious authority from political leadership. Fine, Yazid is going to be Khalifa, fine. Of course he wasn't fine with that, but I'm just saying, fine. But hey people, it's a mistake to think that you can go to him for religion as well. Remember that the Ahlul Bayt are the most qualified when it comes to learning the religion even. Till here, during Imam Ali's time, before, after, all the discussion and debate is about what? Who's going to be Khalifa. That's the major difference of opinion that we have with the Sunni school of thought and our brothers and sisters in that school of thought. That's the whole argument. People are saying from day one that, okay, the Khalifa, who says he has to be infallible? Why? Because the Khalifa has to have enough power to secure the interests of the Muslim nation. Imam Hussein says that Yazid now has become the reference. Wait a minute. All these years, Abu Bakr, Umar, Ibn al-Khattab, Uthman, Ali ibn Abi Talib, Muawiyah, they were all seen as both political leaders and people that you could go to learn your Islam from. Now it's reached a point where Yazid has taken the pulpit. If the Shia school believes that, yeah, Imam Hussein, of course he disagreed that even Muawiyah is a religious authority, but at least he would keep some respect of the deen, even though we believe that it was for his own sake. Yazid, on the other hand, is coming. This is a person that is breaking all the rules of the book, and people are seeing this position as a position that you have to go by. You have to listen to no matter what, whether it's regarding your religion or politics, whatever it is. Ati'u Allah, this is a verse that people like Muawiyah would use. Ati'u Allah wa ati'u Rasul wa ulil amri minkum. The Quran says, right? So the Shia, of course, don't believe in this interpretation of this verse. But even till today, you will have some Wahhabi sheikhs, they will refer to this verse. They will cite it. They will say, the verse says, Ati'u Allah, obey Allah, obey the Prophet, and those who have authority over you. It doesn't matter who's on top right now. It's Yazid, it's Muawiyah. He took it by force by Hassan ibn Ali alayhi salam. It doesn't matter. Well, can we say he's the one that has authority over us right now? He's Ulul Amr. Ulul Amr means the ones who have and right now possess authority. Does he possess authority or not? Yes, he does. So you have to listen to him. Who says? The Quran says. You hear me, guys? So if this is the way they're looking at it, now Yazid becomes Khalifa, aka Marja Taqlid too. Think about what the fate of Islam is going to be. When Imam Hussein was leaving Medina, and he says, وَعَلَى الْإِسْلَامِ السَّلَامِ, it's not just because Yazid is a bad person in the sense that, oh, he takes people's lives and he drinks and these things and goodbye Islam. Not because just he's a political leader. Because now people are going to see that this is where they also get Islam from. It was bad enough that Muawiyah for 20 years had marginalized Ahlul Bayt in Medina so much that in Sham, people, as I said the other night, they thought Ahlul Bayt equals Bani Umayyah. They didn't even know, like, oh, there's others out there that might be more closer to the Prophet than Bani Umayyah. These distant cousins of the Prophet. He says, and selected him for his message, we the Ahlul Bayt are the most qualified regarding that message, and the successors and inheritors of it. When you inherit something, that means you took it, now it's with you, right? It's in your possession. The message, we inherited it. That means everything about Islam that the Prophet had, we have the knowledge of it. You can ask us, we're qualified. And the most suitable to be in his place from all the people. But others were chosen over us for that. You know what I'm taking pleasure in right now? Look at the wording of Imam Hussein. Others were chosen over us. Okay, Imam Hussein, now's your chance. Go for it. Go all at it. Destroy the ones who came before you and took your haqq or your father's haqq. He says, so we conceded. Others were chosen over us, we conceded. Imam Hussein, that's it? I mean, until today, we have people who seem to be more zealous than you are. They have more fervence than you do, Imam Hussein. That's all you're going to say? For history? Others were... Say some names. Get it off your chest. For him, the bigger picture is important. He might be making a point here, and he's pointing out that others took over. Yeah. But he wants to get to his point. He doesn't want to cause extra problems. I'll give you another example. Imam Jawad alayhi salatu wasalam, they asked him. They asked him that we've heard, and it was a rhetorical question too apparently. We've heard that the Shaykhain, the first Khalifa, second Khalifa, are Sayyiday Shuyukh Ahl al-Jannah. The same way Imam Hassan, Imam Hussein are Sayyiday Shababi Ahl al-Jannah. They are the masters of the youth of paradise. That these two individuals are the masters of the older people of paradise. What do you have to say to that, Imam Jawad? And Imam Jawad, as we all know, he was very young. He says, La unkiru fadlahuma. I'm not going to deny their merits. Like if someone says that in this day and age and doesn't say that Imam Jawad says it, they'll attack you with that billiard stick right there. They will attack you. Could you move away from that stick, by the way? Imam Jawad said it. Imam Jawad said it. I don't deny their merits. What do you get out of that, brothers and sisters? I don't deny their merits, but this statement can't be true, he says. Oh, God, it's beautiful. Why? You know when you have the upper hand, but you don't destroy the person that's like arguing against you? You just say something small and destruction happens by itself. You don't have to destroy. Imam Jawad, he could have been someone like me and be like, what? Wait a minute, how dare you? Sayyid Shabab Ahl al-Jannah, this is a title for Imam Hassan, Imam Hussein. You, Bani Umayyah, you're giving it to others and trying to use it for others as well, but you have no choice to change it a little bit because everyone knows the masters of paradise, of the youth of paradise, are Al-Hasanain. So in order to fix that up, the Sayyid of the two Sayyids of the older people of Jannah, and start a fight about that. What does he do? Instead of getting all just badi and emotional, what does he do? Imam Jawad says, hey, I know you're trying to get on my nerves, but la unkir fadlahuma, I don't have a problem with their merits, but you know what? This statement is not true not because they don't have merits, but because there are no old people in Jannah. How can they be the master of the old people of Jannah when all of us know that Allah says like everyone's going to be young in Jannah? I don't know about y'all, but I ain't going to no Jannah if I'm 100 years old. I'm not interested in such a Jannah. They say, come and eat from all of these foods and this and that, but you're like an old person with a cane. You're like, 1 second, I'm coming. Does that make sense? Is that the Jannah that we're promised? No. It doesn't read with reason. It doesn't read with verses of the Quran. It doesn't read with anything. Doesn't make sense. So what does it mean? Imam Jawad, look, you want to argue, guys? You love Ahlul Bayt? Argue like them. Learn. Read. It's not that hard. It's not that hard. Lots of the stuff out there that are posed against the Shia school, they have answers. They have answers. We just have to read a little bit more. I've seen youth in their 20s, man, they can argue for Islam better than maybe a 50-year-old. Why? Because they read. Here Imam Hussein has the chance to say, yeah, but this happened and that happened, and how dare they choose others over us? No. In passing, look at how he phrases it. He says that others were chosen over us for that. So we conceded. We gave in. We didn't say anything. Oh, Imam Hussein, you taught us to stand up against batil. And this is something we've been covering over these nights. Some people think, look at things black and white. And they don't want to be smart about things, wise about things. Let's see what's going on. Let's go on and I'll talk about this more. So we conceded. Well, what's your reason for conceding and agreeing to this? Not having a problem with this. Not having a problem practically, meaning you didn't stand up against it. Why, Imam Hussein? Why do you not have a problem with your haqq being taken away? He says, we conceded and didn't wish for division. And preferred the safeguarding of the Muslims and Islam. Wow. So preserving the lives of the Muslims is very important. Yes. There are some people out there right now, and it's in the Arabic speaking world. They will make clips and lectures, and they have their own website, they have their own channels and YouTube channels and everything. And I don't know how. I've seen a picture of this guy, he's giving a lecture. There's nobody sitting in the audience. There's like 4 uncles in the back. It's they're Arab. They're not Iranian or Pakistani or anything. But there's like 4 huge cameras with lighting and projectors in front of them. Like, who are you speaking to? To the people in the back or to the cameras? Of course he's speaking to the cameras. Remember I was talking about this, was it last night, 2 nights ago? Media is everything today, guys. I don't know how much we're learning how to use that stuff, not to play games, but to spread the word of Islam and the message. What does he do? His videos have 50,000, 60,000, 100,000 views because he's controversial. And then he goes all out, naming people, tainting everything, slandering, abusing, verbally, using certain words and terms that you're like, and ascribing them to the Imams sometimes. This is what Imam al-Sadiq said. Imam al-Sadiq doesn't speak like that, the Imam al-Sadiq that I know. Bashing revered figures in the Sunni school of thought. Astaghfirullah. Is that how the Imams did it? They didn't have a strong argument. That's why they had to resort to means like these, like this. And then you know what this guy says, which really like burns you from the inside. He says, I saw this once. He's like, Alhamdulillah, because of what we're doing, there have been 17 new people across, like, I don't know, North Africa, where they're also Arab. 17 people have converted to Shiaism. Alhamdulillah. And then they probably recited salawat too, something like that. And so, my question is, true, 17 people converted to Islam because you said things they had never heard before. But do you think everyone's open to hear things like that? No. If 17 people turn Shia, you're probably going to lose 170 somewhere else because of this, what you did and you spread. And no one can get in the way of that. You can't get into someone else's YouTube channel and close it, unless like you're really good at hacking and stuff, but I don't know. They'll just put it right back up again. This is how some people approach it. Imam Hussein says safeguarding. They say, if anyone else dies due to what we're saying here in London or any other place of the world, they're shaheed. No, you're going to have to answer on the Day of Judgment. That's not what the Imams taught us, to get people in trouble. If they're shaheed, why aren't you interested in shahada? Why don't you go to those countries? Let me see you talk smack over there. Imam Hussein, no one's going to mess with Imam Hussein. He can say whatever he likes. What does he talk to? What does he say? He says, we conceded, we let our haqq go. Why? Because there's a bigger thing that's more important here. Islam, division, unity, all these things, these terms that we're always hearing by our ulama. But because it's not fun sometimes, because, we don't get things off our chest that easy anymore, we can't. Sometimes we will point the finger at the ulama and say, we're not going to follow you. 364 days of the year, I will follow you, you're my marja. But one day I will follow Hussein. Banallah. Wow. Good for you. Sometimes Imam Hussein's name will be somewhere. Imam Hussein himself will not be there. In the name of Hussein, he will do something, but Hussein himself is not there. This is how he speaks. All while we knew this right belongs to us. Yeah, we might have conceded, but we knew that it all belongs to us. And we sat there watching, waiting. Imam Ali came to power. He tried to fix things. They got him preoccupied with 3 battles. Imam Hassan came after him. They took Khilafah from him. Imam Hussein, it was his turn after Muawiyah. They gave it to Yazid. Yazid, the guy that plays with dogs and monkeys, is going to be a religious figure as well. I can't let that happen because it's wa'ala al-Islam as-salam. Recite salawat. It's okay if you recite another one too. The bigger picture. Now sometimes we fail to see it, our ulama see it. They tell us. Khutbah shiqshiqiyya is another case where something like this happens. Imam Ali alayhi salam Nahj al-Balagha and khutbah shiqshiqiyya. Shiqshiqiyya is that khutbah where Imam Ali gets some things off his chest. Now let me say this, I don't say this in public usually, but this khutbah, our ulama have evidence and proof that it wasn't one of those sermons that he delivered like in Jummah. When you read it, you can tell this khutbah is different than all the other khutbahs you find in Nahj al-Balagha. He's calling people out. Very seldom does that happen, Imam Ali, where he'll call out people by name. Our ulama have shown, and personally I am convinced too, this wasn't a khutbah delivered at a public platform. It was something that he was speaking to Ibn Abbas after Muhammad, son of Abu Bakr, which was the companion of Imam Ali, was killed by Muawiyah. Imam Ali was very upset. Ibn Abbas took him out to the outskirts of the city of Kufa, and it was there that Imam Ali opened up a little bit to Ibn Abbas. And in the end of this khutbah it says, Imam Ali was speaking, and someone came with a letter to him, and Imam Ali took the letter and he stopped his khutbah. After that, he said, you know what? Shiqshiqatun hadarat thumma qarrat. That was just something that came, I wanted to get off my chest, and I'm going to let it go from here. You can't do that in Jummah Salat, you know that, right? You can't be standing there like giving a khutbah, someone gives you a letter, and then you're just like, okay, now that you came to me and you stopped me for a second, people, I'm not even going to do Jummah anymore. Let's just stop. That's not how it works. This khutbah is different than the rest. He does call out individuals, but once again, I still think that this is a khutbah that promotes unity more than anything else. The way it speaks, the way he calls them out. Still, when you look at it, he keeps things general. Now, in this khutbah, once again, I want to highlight how the bigger picture matters to Ahlul Bayt. Saving Islam and preserving Islam matters to Ahlul Bayt. It says that Imam Ali, once the Khilafah was taken from him and given to others, after Saqifa, he can see the end of this. Yes, if someone doesn't believe that Ali ibn Abi Talib is ma'soom, then it'll be hard to digest this a little bit. But if someone understands that Imam Ali is ma'soom, they'll also understand that, okay, he can see the end of things. As a matter of fact, let me correct myself. You don't have to be ma'soom necessarily to figure things like this out. That, hey, if Khilafah was supposed to go to somebody but it didn't reach him, if the Prophet appointed somebody but they didn't honor that appointment, then there's something's going to be wrong. Think about it. Someone comes and says, I'm Prophet, while our Prophet is the Prophet. This person is a liar. And people start following the liar. What's going to happen? Are people going to be on the right path? No. If the person who is appointed by God isn't the one that's followed, then that's going to cause problems. We all understand that. Imam Ali knows, and a lot of Muslims know, that the Prophet has appointed him. Now he sees that, okay, Khilafah went somewhere else. Well, if it wasn't too important, the Prophet wouldn't have said it. Just the fact that the Prophet appointed shows that if this Khilafah goes anywhere else, it'll end up somewhere where it's not supposed to be. Now here, Ali ibn Abi Talib sees this. Okay, so when you know that Islam is in danger, Tawheed is in danger, everything that matters to you is in danger, it's going to be hard to bear. Think about it. You spent all your life accumulating wealth in your bank account. Yeah? And now all this money is there sitting. And then they say that this bank is going bankrupt and there's a chance that, I don't know, your money is going to all go down the drain. How are you going to feel? And you're going to have this bitter anticipation just waiting. And you can, when you swallow your saliva, you can hear it yourself. It's like, makes a sound even. Like everything is like pin drop silence until you figure out, are things going to go down or am I going to lose all my money or not? For Ali ibn Abi Talib, everything for him is Islam. He sees that it's going down, spiraling in another direction it's not supposed to. So for him it's hard. Look at the wording he uses to describe how he was feeling. But the decision that he made, despite the hardship and bittership, he says, once they took Khilafah, then I began to think whether I should assault or endure calmly. So right here we can figure out that this was something that deserved Ali ibn Abi Talib drawing his sword for it. Right? So it is something that is very problematic. Because right here they'll tell us, hey, if it was super important, why didn't Ali ibn Abi Talib draw his sword and fight for it? If you're telling us, oh Shia, that Islam was in danger, then Ali is the first one who taught us that when Islam is in danger, your life doesn't matter. So why didn't he draw his sword? He says, I actually contemplated drawing my sword. And when he draws his sword, it's a big problem. But then I also thought, should I endure calmly or not? Which of the two? If it's me, think about it. If it's me, and I have the strength of Ali ibn Abi Talib and the sword of Ali ibn Abi Talib, what am I going to say? Say, bring it on. I killed your fathers in like the battles, let me kill you now. He wrote that to Muawiyah once, by the way. Muawiyah was acting all that, and he sent him a letter. Imam Ali sent him back a letter. He's like, I still got that sword, by the way, that I killed your uncle and your brother and the other one. There was 3 of them that I killed. Would you like to also have a taste? So a person like me, I'll just bati and I'll be like, 2 plus 2 is 4. Draw the sword. Or should I endure calmly the blinding darkness of tribulations? The fact that Islam is so endangered, although it's not going to be endangered right away, like you won't see the results, but you'll see the results later. Yes, Ashura happened as a result of Saqifa. He says, I thought, should I endure these tribulations that are so hard that within these tribulations, a grown-up, like 40-year-old becomes an old person? Think about it. Overnight, someone from 40 years old goes 80 years old. Or the youth turn to adults because of the pressure. For Imam Ali, he's describing this pressure that he was under. He says, if any of you were to experience it, if you were like a 12, 13-year-old, all of a sudden it would turn you so old that you're a 40-year-old. This is real stuff. Wherein the grown-ups are made feeble and the young grow old, and the true believer acts under strain until he meets his Lord. Like, it's so much pressure that You gotta bear it, and you might even die and meet your Lord even. Okay, Imam Ali, you're thinking to yourself which of these two you should choose. He says, I found that endurance thereon was wiser. Yeah, some people look at me right now and be like, not here, like somewhere else. Wiser? Wisdom? What does that mean? Just go, man. Like, whatever you feel is right, do it. I don't care who's going to be killed. I don't care what division, what disunity. Go for it. Wisdom? What does wisdom mean? Seriously, when some people you talk to, you feel like they never have seen this word in their vocabulary. They don't have it in their vocabulary. Imam Ali says, I sat down, for me the criterion to choose wasn't emotions, wasn't whether I'm stronger or not, it wasn't this or that, one thing, wisdom. When what you do matches the greater good, that's wisdom. That's a wise act. If what you do, the price you pay, doesn't match what you get in return, that's the opposite of wisdom. What's the opposite of wisdom? I don't know. You dumb. Stupidity. Imam Ali has this word, ahmaq. He says it to some people. People who give up their akhirah for their dunya, he calls them ahmaq. Ahmaq means you dumb. Who buys a fake gold necklace and pays the amount they would pay for a real gold necklace? Is that a wise decision? No. Why? Because the price you pay is not worth what you're getting in return. Duh. It's wisdom. That's wisdom. He sits down and thinks. He says, if I draw this sword, what's going to happen? If I endure calmly until my turn comes, what's going to happen? All right. If I endure calmly, 25 years later, he became Khalifa. Maybe I'll become Khalifa after Umar ibn al-Khattab. I told you the story last night or 2 nights ago, right? He didn't. He wasn't chosen. Did I tell this story or not? Maybe that was somewhere else. They didn't choose him to be the third Khalifa. There's a whole story behind that, how that happened. But at the end of the day, right now, when Saqifa has happened, I have to make sure what I do matches that which I want. I want to get in return. I might get a shot at Khilafah after Abu Bakr, might after Umar, or maybe after Uthman. And when I do become Khalifa, the same way certain things were changed and certain innovations were introduced into Islam, I'll get rid of them. But we all know, brothers and sisters, I said it 10 minutes ago. Imam Ali, when he did take power, they imposed 3 wars on him. They didn't let him do what he was going to do, or else Imam Ali would have changed a lot of things. He says, I found that endurance thereon was wiser. If I choose enduring calmly, I might get a shot later. If he chooses drawing the sword, let's talk about that a little bit. This is one of those things that I haven't shared too much here and there, once again, because people sometimes aren't ready to hear it, but I'll share it here. Because we're bros, right? We're cool. This is some of the extra stuff. I'm going to go on a tangent here a little bit, but it's important. If he had drawn the sword, brothers and sisters, this is something to talk about in Fatimiyya. You know what would have happened? Some people ask, as a matter of fact, some of these sheikhs from other schools of thought, they want to question the Shia school, they ask. They will say, we all have heard the bravery and courage of Imam Ali alayhi salam. We've all heard his courage on the battlefield. How can he just stand there and let Fatima Zahra be disrespected in front of him, in front of his own eyes, and not do anything about it? This is you lying, Shia. What answer do we have to give? He was super strong. What ghira? The ghira that Imam Ali had doesn't allow him to just stand there and watch. Brothers and sisters, one of these ulama, which I love so much, may Allah protect him, he's an awesome historian. You know what he says and explains, and I haven't seen this elsewhere, but it makes so much sense. He says, after Saqifa, when they came in, and they did whatever they did and whatever they wanted to do, and they took Imam Ali and they forcefully took him to the masjid to give bay'ah, if he had fought back, which he kind of did, some of the accounts say that he did take some of these guys in there and beat them up. But he didn't draw the sword. He didn't draw the sword. Here in Nahj al-Balagha, he doesn't explain why he didn't choose the sword route, the way I'm about to explain it. He could have drawn the sword, but brothers and sisters, the imams, they're human beings. They're not gonna like with one, swoop, like everyone dies and everyone's on the right path all of a sudden. That's not how it works. Eventually, the ones who had come to Fatima Zahra's house and home, and some of our ulama have written on some of these individuals, that these people in pre-Islamic times were thugs. They were thugs. These people were brought, some of them were brought to the home of Fatima Zahra. If Imam Ali had drawn the sword, eventually either they would have surrounded him enough to hurt him enough to take away from his energy and him losing enough blood that they could kill him right there, or they would have apprehended him, just like Muslim ibn Aqil. Muslim ibn Aqil was a warrior too. But when there's too many men fighting you, eventually you lose energy. Imam Ali, they say that if he was apprehended and taken, he would have killed a lot of them before them actually apprehending him, right? Either they would have killed him there, or if they had apprehended him, they would have taken him and said, Imam Ali, we love you so much. But you yourself, you killed some people. They were just there asking for bay'ah. We have no choice. The Quran tells us that we have to do. You have to give qisas. You have to be retaliated for. And Imam Ali, before you know it, he's executed. And think about it. Imam Ali not being in the picture after Rasulullah, that's not a nice picture. If he had drawn his sword, they say he would have lost his life eventually. He has to protect himself, so that 25 years later he can come and try to fix things. So he's thinking about it like this. That's one way of looking at it. Of course, there's other ways of looking at it. One of the ways he says it here too. He says that just what Imam Hussein said. We did what we did so that division wouldn't happen. Think about it. If there's a civil war right after Rasulullah, we've got people next door saying we're prophets, false prophets. You've got the Romans getting ready to come because they feel a threat, or the Persians. They feel like there's a threat. This Islamic empire is like getting stronger and stronger. Look, they have internal issues. Now's the time to attack. If Imam Ali is fighting everybody. Whatever it is, brothers and sisters, Imam Ali says, I chose to endure. I could have drawn the sword, but I chose to endure. Why? Because it was wiser. While it wasn't easy. Yeah? Those of you that you might know, some people out there, it happens sometimes in our centers, unfortunately. There's this one guy who feels like he has to shout out so the heavens and the earth hear him, sending lanat on everything. Yes, the Quran sends on lanat on the enemies of Allah as well. But the bigger picture, brothers and sisters, the bigger picture, what are we getting out of it? Getting more animosity, more bloodshed, more sectarianism. They're getting the best of us. The enemies of Islam, they're getting the best of us. What more could you ask for? Muslims fighting themselves. We don't have to get our hands dirty. He says, I found that endurance thereon was wiser. So I adopted patience, although there was a thorn in the eye. Yeah? You get an eyelash stuck in there, and it hurts you, it bothers you. If you can't get it out, you start getting restless. Before you know it, you're reaching around looking for some water or something to... That's an eyelash. And a couple days ago, actually, it happened to me personally. I kept rubbing, it wasn't getting better. You just can't go on. He says there was a thorn in my eye. And sometimes they translate it, they say, I was patient while it was as if there was a thorn in my eye. He doesn't word it like that. He says, Sabartu wa fil ayni qada. I was patient while there was a thorn in my eye. And there was a bone in my throat, stuck in my throat. When you choke on food, you can't breathe anymore, brothers and sisters. He's suffocating. Imam Ali is suffocating. He's in pain. But he says, I chose to endure. Those people out there who can't have a little patience, I have to get it off my chest. Let me say it to the world. Lanat on everything. Yes, brother and sister, if that is a concept in Islam, there are other concepts in Islam too. The bigger picture is one of the biggest concepts. One of the most important concepts that Imam Ali gives up the haqq for 25 years while there's a thorn in his eye. I'm going to end with this. Another example of the bigger picture, Ashura. Ashura. It says that when Imam Ali ibn al-Hussein, Imam al-Sajjad, لما قدم, when he entered, it doesn't say where, it seems like it's Sham. When he entered, وقد قتل الحسين ibn Ali, and Imam Hussein had been killed. استقبله, someone came by the name of Ibrahim to him. He said, Ya Ali ibn al-Hussein, man ghalab? Who was victorious in this battle? 72 people. Come on. Why would you fight with 72 people versus thousands and thousands? It says the Imam said, Ali ibn al-Hussein, إِذَا أَرَدْتَ أَن تَعْلَمَ مَنْ غَلَبْ. You want to really know who was victorious? If you want to know who was victorious, وَدَخَلَ وَقْتُ الصَّلَاةِ, when the time of salat comes, أَذِّن ثُمَّ أَقِمْ. Let me hear you say the adhan and the iqamah. If I hear أشهد أن محمدا رسول الله in your adhan and in your iqamah, recite the salawat. If I see the Prophet's name still being mentioned in adhan and iqamah, then we were victorious. Imam Hussein's blood has to be given so that the Prophet's name can stay. And if the Prophet's name is there, Islam is there. That's what they were after. But we saw the bigger picture. They didn't see the bigger picture. Bibi Zainab, they say, she said, وَمَا رَأَيْتْ إِلَّا جَمِيلًا. What more could we ask for? Imam Hussein wanted to get into Sham and fight Yazid. He couldn't get into Sham. But he did something that you yourselves brought me, Zainab, into Sham. And from within the beast, I destroyed you. Yeah, the bigger picture. We don't have access to our imams. We have their sayings, and we have our ulama. Our ulama are trying their best, brothers and sisters, to figure out what the priorities are, and they have figured those out. We have to make sure when they speak to us, we first of all take heed. When they tell us that, hey, now's not the time for this, now's not the time for that, we take heed, one. And two, if we can support them in spreading these priorities amongst the people, that we do so as well. Inshallah, Allah gives us tawfiq to honor the bigger picture. Walhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen. Salawat ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad.
Peace be upon the one whose beard was covered in blood. Peace be upon the one who was struck from all sides. Peace be upon the one who had no helpers in the face of calamity. Peace be upon the one whose cheek hit the ground of Karbala. Imagine the eve of Ashura, a very tragic night, a very sad night, the last night for the 72 martyrs of Karbala, the last night for brothers to be with their sisters, the last night for sisters to be with their brothers, the last night for the fathers to be with their children, the last night for mothers to be with their children, the last night for little Sakina to be with her beloved uncle Abbas and her dearest father Imam al-Hussein. It is a night never to be forgotten, a night to shed more tears, a night to do more matter. Imam al-Hussein had gathered all of his companions in his tent. He said, my friends, my companions, tonight is the last night. Tomorrow is the day of Ashura. Tomorrow is the day of martyrdom. None of us will be spared by the soldiers of Yazid. Imam Hussein continued and said, my companions, you have suffered enough. There is still time to save your lives. Escape in the darkness of the night. I will have no objections. I will forgive you. You are free to go. Imam al-Hussein blew the candles out, and there was total darkness in the tent. Anyone could have left without being seen or embarrassed. After a while, Imam al-Hussein lit the candles. How many ran away? It is said that all the companions were still present. It is because they knew their Imam was on the path of truth, and because they knew their sacrifice would save Islam. Our greetings to those 72 martyrs of Karbala for the great sacrifice for Islam. But Imam al-Hussein made the biggest sacrifice. In one day he sacrificed his brothers. He sacrificed his nephews and children on the land of Karbala. He remained patient after seeing so many dead in one day. Imam al-Hussein has never complained, but instead had been recorded to have said, Ya Allah, are you pleased? If not, then keep taking until you're pleased, Ya Allah. Allah's will was Imam al-Hussein's command. Imam al-Hussein was prepared and willing to sacrifice everything in the way of Allah. How much can Hussein's heart bear? Oh, Muhammad. companions were martyred along with his family members. Harun and Muhammad, Qasim, Abbas, and Ali al-Akbar went to the battlefield and were martyred. There came a time where Imam Hussein was alone, a stranger in the land of Karbala. The time had come for Hussein to go to the battlefield. He said, "Fi amanillah" to everyone. Imam Hussein with his sword on his waist mounted his horse. Imam Hussein rode the horse to a small mound. He then called out loudly, "Al min nasirin yansurna." Is there anyone to help us? Is there anyone to help the grandson of the Holy Prophet? With this call, the grandson of the Holy Prophet was giving one last chance to Yazid's men. There was no response from the hypocrites of the enemy camp. No one answered Imam Hussein's last call, but suddenly a cry was heard coming from the camp. Imam Hussein turned around and returned to his tent. He found Lady Zainab in the tent and said,